Hi Stampers, my name is Sandy Hancock. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And welcome to Utterly Awesome Stamping. Today I'm going to show you how to make a really fun card with the Country Home set. First I'm going to show you how to create a grid so that you can stamp a little image like this 20 times and not lose your mind. Then I'm going to show you how to mask. This is a technique that many of you have done a lot of times, but some of you are new and you don't know how to do it, so I'm going to show that. Then I'm going to show you how to add the little cotton balls onto the image. There's a little trick to that too. So are you ready? Let's get going. Okay, so we'll just reposition this a little bit. And here we go. First thing I want to show you is just basically the sizes of cardstock that you'll need. The first smoky slate is your standard size, so it's 5.5 by 4 1/4 once it's folded. The basic gray is going to be 5 1/4 by 4, and the white is 5 by 3 3/4. Then the little piece of basic gray is 4 by 2 1/2, and then the white is 2 1/4 by 3 3/4. Okay, so pretty easy. All right, so now here's the thing. When we create a grid like this, we need to divide the white cardstock evenly in both directions. So it needs to be divided in 5 equal parts going this way and 4 equal parts going this way. This way it's easy because we're working with 5 inches. So we're just going to score it 1, 2, 3, and 4. This way, however, it's 3 3/4 inches. So how do you divide something that's 3 3/4 inches into even parts? Let me show you. Once again, here's the dimensions. Okay, so how do you do this and still keep your sanity? It's actually quite easy. We're going to be dividing this into 15/16 4 times. Doesn't that make your heart happy? All right, here's how we're going to do it. We're going to come over to the 1 inch mark and go back by 1/16 of an inch. And this first little line on the grid paper, which is really important to have if you don't have it, it's so helpful. Okay, so just go back 1/16 of an inch, that's your first mark. The second mark is going to come at 1 7/8, so that's pretty easy. The third mark, you're going to come over to 2 3/4 and just add 1/16 of an inch. On my grid paper, it only goes at this point by 1/8 inches, so I'm just going to go right in between the 2/8 inches and add my little mark. Did you get that? Let me just say it one more time. Okay, so the first mark is you're going to come to the 1 inch line and go back by 1/16 of an inch. Then you're going to come to 1 7/8, that's your second mark, and the third mark, come over to 2 3/4 and add a little 1/16 of an inch mark right after. Okay, so now let's just take out the Simply Scored board, and you want to make sure that your pencil mark is right. You know how there are indentations and that shows you where it's going to score. So we're going to put that pencil mark right on any indentation. It doesn't have to be any special place. And then we'll move it just a tad to make sure that these other little marks are also going to get scored properly. Coming this direction, it's so easy because we're just going to score at 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, so just like that, we've got a grid that looks really good. So now what I'm going to do is take my stamp. Let me just show you what it looks like in the set before I go any further. This is the Country Home set. It has this can, a pitcher, then it's got a can, which I love because I spent several years on a farm when I was growing up in Illinois, so I really love that can. Happy harvest blessings. So grateful for someone like you in my life. Simply thankful for all the good things. And then, I don't know, I started to say this is my favorite. You are the happy to my day, but I do love everyone in here. But I just love that you are the happy to my day. So then there's an oval. You can stamp hello, enjoy, love, and thanks. And then, of course, the 2 flowers. So it's a great set, and it's a great set for fall. Okay, so now what we're doing is we're taking this one right here, and that's the one we're creating the grid with. So now I've got 20 little grids that I can stamp in, and even if they don't come out exactly perfect, they're gonna look really good. Okay, so now you don't need to see me do this. I'm gonna just add a little bit more light here. Forgot to pull my lights up. That could help a little bit. Okay, you don't need to see me do that 20 times, so I'm just gonna show you that I've already done it and that it really turned out pretty good. So now if you have a good pencil eraser, you just want to erase your little pencil marks so that they don't show. And we'll go ahead and add it to the basic gray. So here we go. And then we can add these layers to the main card. Okay. So now let's get to the picture and to masking. So what I'm going to do is first just stamp the picture. Make sure it's nice and straight, like this. Okay, then what I did is I stamped it again, and I stamped it on grid paper. Now you could also use computer paper, but make it thin. The masks are always better if they're on thin paper, not on cardstock. Those don't work as well. And then you can just put a little tiny bit of something on the back to hold it in place. Okay, then I'm going to take the flowers, ink them up, and I'm just going to barely stamp onto the mask. Okay, now watch the magic. I'm going to take away the mask, and the flowers have magically gone into the can. Isn't that amazing? Okay, so don't smear the black. I don't love that. I'm going to do it one more time. Don't you love the fact that the paper has two sides to it? I'm not sure how that's smeared exactly, but I'm going to be a little bit more careful this time. See if I can do it without smearing it. And it only takes a second, so I don't want to waste your time. Okay, so there we go. Now we've got one that's not smeared. Okay, now to color this in, let me just show you. I've already colored one in. I'm going to remind you what it looks like. So I'm using Cajun Craze, and I'm not even sure what these are called. I don't know if technically they're flowers or if they're something else, but they have little holes in them with white space, and I don't want to cover them up. We do not have a Cajun Craze Stampin' Blend, so what I'm doing is I'm just using the large tip of the Cajun Craze marker, and I'm going to keep going around it carefully so that those little white holes are going to pop out. Okay, then I want to show you one thing about coloring in the can. So I'm going to start, because I want my can gray, so I'm going to use Smoky Slate. And I'm going to go over it with a light color. Then I'll turn this around and come up this side. Okay, now I'm going to go back with the dark. Just going to add a little bit of color along the edge. And of course at this point it's not looking that great. But we get to go back with the Stampin' Blends and blend. That's why they're called Stampin' Blends. So amazing. This does not happen with the regular Stampin' Write markers. You cannot blend with them. And as I'm blending, I want to make sure I leave some white space in the center, because that kind of creates some dimension to it. Do you see what I did? Just leave some white space. Okay, then I used Daffodil Delight to color in the yellow. I used Old Olive to color in the green. So now let's go ahead. We're going to add this. One more time on that corner. We're going to add this to our basic gray. Then I'm going to just put a few dimensionals here. I remember years ago when I used to go into people's homes to do workshops. I had a lady who attended my workshop, and she was from Australia. For the life of her, she could not remember the dimensionals names. So when she needed a dimensional, she would say, "Could you pass the risers, please?" She called them risers. I thought that was so cute. Okay, so now we're going to add this to our main card, and so we've gotten this far. Okie doke. So I think I'll go ahead. I've got my Wink of Stella right beside me. I'm going to go ahead and add Wink of Stella to everything that I colored in except for the can. Okay, that's good. All right, so now what we want to do is I want to show you how to create the cotton balls. So you're just going to take a piece of cotton, you're going to pull off a little bit, that looks like it could be a little bit big, and just roll it around in your fingers. No, actually that turned out pretty good. Okay, there you go, you've got a cotton ball. And you're going to need about 13 or 14 of these to complete this project. So I'm going to use the white liquid glue. I hardly ever use this because I just get so messy, and I don't like messy. But I thought this is a really good thing to use for this. So what I'm going to do, you don't need to see me put on all 14 of these cotton balls, but very carefully. Just get a little bit of glue. I'll just put on a few so that you can get the idea, and then I can go back and add the rest of them later. Okay, so you're going to want to have, number one, you want to have clean fingers. If for any reason you've gotten your fingers into the glue, stop, go wash your fingers, because what happens is if your fingers are sticky, once you take this and stick down the cotton ball and then you try to pat it, the glue on your finger is going to pull up the cotton. Ask me how I learned that. Yes, I definitely learned the hard way. And then it disfigures your cotton balls. They no longer look like cotton balls. They look like they've been pulled apart, which is exactly what has happened. So just make sure you're working with clean fingers. Okay, so you get the idea. I'm not gonna, like I say, add all of them. Okay, so then what I did is I took my bow maker, and if you don't have a bow maker, you can get one online. They're so easy to use, and then you can just look up a video of how to make a little bow. So I added the linen thread, a double bow, to this, and now we just need a greeting. So I wanted to use the greeting. Let me show you. This greeting says, "Happy Harvest Blessings." Thing is, I only want the word blessings. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to just take a piece of paper, because I don't want to get my grid sheet messed up. I'm going to take the stamp. This is 3/8 of an inch. Wide, I guess that's what you're going to say. And I'm going to just stamp the end of it with blessings. And it's almost straight. I think I'll try it one more time. I'll come from this end, and then I can use whichever one I like the best. Okay, I think I like this one the best. So, okay, so I've got a little bit of the T from Harvest. So I want to cut that off because all I want is blessings. Doesn't that sound great? I want blessings. And I want this to be about 1 inch. So I'll cut it. And then I want to just show you how to, you know what, that needs one more little trim because I can still see a tiny bit of the T. Okay, so now in order to make the V, here's the best way to do it. Cut from the end straight in, right at the center. Then from the bottom tip, cut up to the V, turn it over, cut up to the V, and then it just comes out. And you've got a really, really nice little banner. Now, I'm going to add this onto a piece of basic gray because I want it to be mounted. I think it's going to pop better and be prettier. And so I'm going to do the same thing for the basic gray now that the blessings is mounted on it. I'm going to cut in from each side. Let's see how that worked. Pretty good. And then I'm just going to, okay, going to add this, and I'm going to look to see where I put it the first time, because once I get something like I like it, I don't like to keep recreating the wheel. You know what I mean? If you like it, you like it. Okay, so let me show you the one that's got all the little cotton balls on it again. So pretty easy, right? Lots of fun. It looks like it was a lot of work, but it really wasn't. It was pretty easy to do. And I'll show you one other idea that also uses this grid. This one was basically created by Chris Antomaso, and she used just one line of that image. So here's an easy way to do that. I just came over 1 inch and scored down, and then I just turned it this way and scored 1, 2, 3, 4. So then I had a really easy way to figure out where I wanted to stamp that little image 5 times. So then she just added the ribbon, added a little bit of embossing folder. Now she did cut this out by hand, so of course I had to cut it out by hand. Not my favorite thing to do in the whole world, but it wasn't really that hard. You don't have to precisely cut into every little leaf. But it's the idea of using your Simply Scored to create a grid in this type of situation. So once again, we'll just take a look at this one. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you've enjoyed this video, be sure to push the subscribe button below. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Visit me at my blog, sandystamper.com. All the details for this card today will be on my blog. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.